The following film takes us to two cities in New England. Chicopee, Massachusetts and Enfield, Connecticut are significant because they not only chronicle important history of the area, but also the birth of an American family. The Mades of Chicopee Falls and the Pawash of Scranton, Pennsylvania, left their home country of Poland to form the Made clan. This is the story of those cities and their family. Until the early 19th century, Chicopee, Massachusetts, was little more than an agricultural district of Springfield, from which it separated in 1848. Several early mills began to harness the power of a 50-foot drop-off in the Chicopee River, but it was not until the introduction of outside capital from Boston-based industrialists that Chicopee became an industrial powerhouse. The Dwight textile mills, which quickly developed, required a wide variety of related manufactures. Edmund Dwight, owner of the Dwight Mills, procured brothers Nathan Peabody Ames and James Tyler Ames to relocate their edge tool business from Chelmsford to Chicopee. They did. In 1834, the Ames Manufacturing Company was incorporated with a capital of $30,000, and buildings were erected along the Chicopee River, just east of the Dwight Mills. By 1835, the company was creating works in brass and bronze, and in 1845, an iron foundry was added. The company used the foundries for casting statuary and producing cannons and cannonballs for the U.S. military. The Fisk Rubber Company was a major American tire manufacturer headquartered in Chicopee, Massachusetts, from 1898 until its acquisition by U.S. Rubber in 1940. The company's operations in Chicopee continued under Uniroyal, which acquired U.S. Rubber, until the plant was closed in 1980. Established in 1876 by A.G. Spaulding, a famous baseball pitcher, the company grew to become a leader in sporting goods, making items from baseballs to uniforms. Spaulding was the official supplier for the NBA from 1983 until 2022. As we view various scenes of Chicopee and Chicopee Falls, it's worth noting that a number of the Made family members worked in these businesses. The 7 children of Bertha and Peter Made grew up in Chicopee Falls, attended local schools, attended church at St. Stanislaus, and generally grew up in a Polish culture. They would have experienced events such as the centennial celebration of Chicopee, frequented the local movie theater, and attended dances at local clubs. Through mutual acquaintances, Caroline Pawash and Al Made met, would frequently take the bus to the dance. Al had been recently discharged from the Navy and had acquired the name Chicopee Al. Al and Caroline were married in May 1949. As you view family leaving the Charles Street house, there is a lot of excitement, joy, and anticipation of a future Made clan. That clan continues to grow every year. The brothers, sisters, and parents are preparing for the celebration. The ceremony happened at St. Stanislaus Church in Chicopee. As it was in the late 1940s, family is very important, and the church ceremony was typical and formal. After their wedding, Al and Caroline moved to Chicopee Center on Park Street. It was a four-apartment fourplex. The other apartments housed family relatives and future longtime friends. Other relatives lived close by, continuing that mid-century family bond. Across the street from the house, the Collegian Court was located. This restaurant remained a favorite of the Made family for many years, serving traditional Polish delicacies. The image of the house shows the state of the building in late 2022. Tom and Dave were born to this home and spent their first few years as Chicopees. Caroline's mother, Teo, lived with Al and Caroline and helped raise the boys. In August of 1955, Hurricane Connie roared up the East Coast and devastated towns and cities, including those in New England. It was soon followed by Hurricane Diane, resulting in 180 deaths, $680 million in damage, and over 200 dams in New England suffering partial or total failure. Enfield's first settlers, John Pease, Jr., and Robert Pease, arrived in 1679 from Salem, Massachusetts, and spent their first winter camping in a shelter dug into the side of a hill. The next spring, they were joined by their families and other settlers from Salem. By the end of that year, 1680, about 25 families had settled in the area. In 1683, the town of Enfield was incorporated. At this time, the town extended east 10 miles from the Connecticut River and south 6 miles from Long Meadow Brook. 5 years later, on March 16, 1688, the townspeople purchased Enfield from a Podunk Indian named Nototuk for 25 pounds sterling. It is unclear what claim Nototuk actually had to the land, or whether he was selling the land or the rights to use it. Enfield's population was growing. Little villages with names like Wallop and Sitico were settled within Enfield's 60 square miles during the first decades of the 1700s. In 1734, the easternmost village was incorporated as the town of Somers. As a result of an error in the survey done in 1642 by Woodward and Safari, Enfield was settled as part of Massachusetts colony. A 1695 survey corrected the error, showing that Enfield, as well as Suffield and Somers, was within Connecticut colony's borders. Apparently unhappy with the Massachusetts government, the citizens of Enfield first discussed separating from Massachusetts at a 1704 Enfield town meeting. Perhaps they weren't really that unhappy, because it wasn't until 1747 that Enfield began to officially pursue becoming part of Connecticut. Legal action was taken in both the Massachusetts and Connecticut legislatures and in court in London, England. In 1750, Enfield seceded from Massachusetts and became part of Connecticut colony. As part of the town of Enfield, the boroughs of Thompsonville and North Thompsonville were a vibrant part of the community. Companies such as carpet mills, bottled beverages, lumber, potato chips, and greeting cards were all staples of Thompsonville's contribution to consumers. Enfield's carpet industry was founded by Orrin Thompson, after whom Thompsonville is named. Early production consisted mostly of inexpensive, flat-woven ingrain carpeting. As the mill became established, other more expensive weaves, including 3-ply ingrain, rugs, and loop Brussels were added. Thompsonville Bottle Works produced a variety of soda pop favorites, including root beer, cream soda, ginger ale, and Lola Cola. In the 1950s and 60s, Hallmark Cards of Kansas City operated distribution centers, first on Central Street in Thompsonville, then moving to 2 centers on Manning Road and Bacon Road. Back in 1919, the Carville family created their first potato chips in their Thompsonville, Connecticut kitchen near the Massachusetts-Connecticut state line. Now, we turn to the home and neighborhood that the Mauday boys grew up and eventually welcomed a sister. Images show the property today, as well as how it looked in the 50s and 60s. As you can see from the images, it was a world of play, family parties, and Christmas celebration. As we view some vintage photos of downtown Thompsonville, you'll note the vibrancy of the area either dressed for Christmas or just providing an accommodating small downtown shopping experience in the 50s and 60s. The Strand Movie Theater showed all the Hollywood films. The abandoned theater shows the change of shopping patterns in the early 70s. The first high school was followed by an Enfield Street location, with the current Enfield High and Fermi High School to follow. As Enfield expanded and left the old downtown behind, urban renewal and the construction of Interstate 91 relegated Thompsonville and Enfield to the nickname the Bedroom Village, as its population typically now traveled to Hartford or Springfield for employment. Over the years, many of the landmarks of Enfield have gone away. St. Adalbert Church and grade school has closed, and the parish consolidated with others in town. And so, as we come to the close of this chapter of the Maude saga, the stage is set for future generations and tales. Thank you for letting me share some history and memories of the tale of two cities. It truly was the best of times.